that you are enough exactly the way you are. You don't
Mhm.
need approval or validation from anybody else. You are enough.
Hello and welcome to Chaos to Clarity, the podcast that's your compass to navigate the exciting world of service based businesses. If you're a determined woman in your current business adventure, striving to conquer the chaos and build your empire, then you are in the right place. I'm your host, Maggie, your go to business bestie and chaos navigator. I've spent nearly 2 decades in the service based industry, building a photography business, a yoga studio, and now a thriving coaching practice. I've cracked the code to consistent income without all the chaos and noise. So get ready to increase your business growth, connect with your ideal clients, and find ease in both business and in life. It's time to turn your frustrations into inspiration and your chaos into clarity. So go ahead and grab your coffee, a pen and paper, and let's dive into the journey of building your dream service-based business together. Are you ready? Let's go. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Chaos to Clarity podcast. Today, I have with me Julie Trombley. She is an Ontraport expert. I am so excited for you guys to meet her. I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about who she is and who she serves and how long she's been in business.
Well, thank you, first of all, Maggie, for having me. Happy to
Mhm.
be here. It's exciting. I'm excited for you and this new little venture you're going on with your podcast.
Yeah.
I'm Julie Trombley, as Maggie said, a certified entrepreneur expert and owner of Tackle Your To Do. And as a CRM expert, I help coaches get out of running the tech side of their business. I mean, so they can get back to coaching, because that's really why they went into this business, was so they could coach, not deal with the tech. Um, you know, and on that, talking with the coaches I've been talking to, I've really implemented some new packages to kind of help coaches go through the process of first just getting started and then going to the next level of launching and then to the next, so it's working through as they're growing. I'm helping them to grow and the system can grow with them. And I've been in business for 3 years now. I quit my corporate job the day the world shut down for COVID, and wasn't intending, I didn't know what was happening. I just went in with my letter of resignation. It was going to happen no matter what. And it was like, oh, by the way, we're all going remote for COVID. I'm like, I'm going remote forever. Bye.
Oh my gosh. That's so awesome.
Awesome and scary all at the same time.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
I've interviewed quite a few people who made a huge change on that day. Which ironically it was a Friday the 13th, right? Like what a like ominous day to like have that huge pivot, right? And I think that I was in Bali, I was in Indonesia when that happened. When, like sitting in a restaurant eating and all of a sudden I get these texts from, from home and I'm 12 hours ahead. So like it's evening when it's evening there when it's morning here. And getting these texts from my yoga teachers and my husband saying, "Well, um I hope you're going to be able to come home." And I'm like,
Right.
what?
What?
What are you talking about? And, like my husband's like, well, they're like closing everything. Like, I don't have to go back to work on Monday. And I'm like, you're fired? He's like, no, no, like I brought all my work home. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm literally on the other side of the world. So I'm gonna hang out here and I'm
Right.
gonna come home eventually. Like they don't want me to stay here. I know that. I don't have a visa that they're going to send me home. I'm going to make it home somehow. But like still kind of like, oh wow, this is really serious.
So did it delay your coming home, or did you get to come home when you planned on, or?
Yeah, we came home when we planned on. My flight did get canceled. But then he had to call and rebook it. So it was all fine. When
Right.
he rebooked it, they asked him, they're like, well, we're just going to upgrade her to I don't know, like the next class up. And he was like, oh, she'll be really excited about that. So like, you know, but otherwise it was pretty normal over in Bali when that happened. So for my own like anxiety and sanity's sake, I'm really glad that I spent like 2 weeks in Bali or a week in Bali as that was happening, right? So I was over there for 2 weeks, and like my friend and I joked as we were getting on the plane to go over there, wouldn't it be funny if the whole world shut down because of this, right? Because we didn't know, right? We didn't know like what it was, and you only know what you know. And then, like when that happened, I looked at her and I was like, dude, we need to not say some of those thoughts.
Right.
We need to not put them into the universe because they're coming true. So I'm
Right.
just going to put out into the universe that we are going to get home.
Right.
We are going to get home. Luckily, like to be in Bali, it's very like affordable to be there and like live there. So I was like, well, it's also nice and warm, right? In March in Bali, it's like 80, which is like perfect. Doesn't rain a ton. So like it's not the worst place to get stuck. I will miss my
Right.
family, but also like I really like it there. Yeah. Anyway, I could go on and on about that. I will probably make an episode about like what happened on that day and in that time period. Because it's a pretty, like when you think about like the pivots, even for you, when you walked into work and said, I'm done. Bye.
Right. Right.
Right? To not know to take that pivot it's really scary. It's really challenging.
Right.
Which actually leads really well into my next question for you. My next question is, what is something challenging that you have overcome in your business?
All of it. I think, when I quit, I had like over 25 years in association work when I started my business.
Mm-hmm.
And and the funny thing is, before, in the last job I had, I was there for 19 years. And the first 14 years, I was working remote already. I was working remote before remote was cool.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, so then I had to go in the office for a few years, and I realized I didn't like that there. But when I first started my business, I was like, the training I had gone through for virtual experts was like, we're not going to teach you skills, but we want you to take what you've learned throughout your life and business career and whatever, and transition that into running your own business. Well, I did that, and I was like, okay, when I first started, I'm going to support associations, until I had a light bulb moment of, what the hell are you thinking? There was a
Right.
reason you left associations.
Uh-huh.
Why do you even think of this? Also, they were going through a rough time too with the shutdown of COVID and having to kind of restructure and everything. So I was like, okay, that's not really where I'm going. I wasn't excited about it. And then it was like, my gosh, all these years I've done some kind of tech for wherever I worked.
Mm-hmm.
So then I kind of shifted to offering like random tech support, which worked for a while. And really how I ended up working with coaches. I mean, it wasn't me out marketing to find them. They kind of organically found me.
Right.
And then I realized, I really enjoy working with these coaches and helping them, in a way. I was getting them out of the tech, but also it was very in so many different kinds of tech,
Mm-hmm.
and this system and that platform and posting to social media, doing this. And I was just like, okay, this is too much.
Yeah.
And, one of my coaches asked me if I had ever heard of Ontraport. And I'm like, no. And she's like, you're really techie. I think you'd be really good at it. Just look into it. So I did. I looked into it and took it upon myself to get certified with it. And I would say for about the first 6 months, I had that whole imposter syndrome of, oh, I just don't know if I could do this. I don't
Right.
know do I know this well enough? This is pretty big, it's a robust platform. Can I go in and do this and make this my niche? And my I was just, okay, I just have to do this. I got my a little bit more comfortable, obviously also getting in the system and using it and working with it.
Right.
And then, scary decision number 2 after already quitting my job was I'm letting go of all my random tech clients.
Mm-hmm.
I just got to open that space for
Right.
the right people to come in.
Yep.
And it worked. I mean, I tell you, you're talking about what universe is listening. And it was just like, as soon as I started letting them all go, I got my longest running Ontraport client, and it
Mm-hmm.
was a retainer client. And, so it just felt good to niche down to just like the one platform. And I mean, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it has other pieces that you can implement with it, but just to focus on on just the Ontraport chaos to clarity kind of thing. I went from the chaos of supporting coaches in so many different platforms, and
Right.
then just clarity of realizing, okay, I just need to focus on the one.
Mm-hmm.
And it has just made it so much better for me. And I am so glad that that coach suggested it to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's really awesome. And I think the power of niching down right there, what you just explained, because speaking from a coach's perspective, it's hard to niche down, right? It's hard to be, it's that what imposter syndrome comes creeping in, right? Like if I niche down to X, what if that's not for me? What if, right? And you get into that kind of like those circular thoughts of like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. And is this right for me? But the longer you spend, thinking about that and letting those wheels turn, the less time you have to work on that thing, right? So you get into this like, oh, I can't make a decision, but then like not making a decision is kind of making a decision, and pretty soon you're like, oh, it's been a month and I haven't made any progress because I can't make up my mind.
Right.
I've been
Right.
there. I've been there.
And the good thing though too about what we do is that we have the ability to pivot and refocus and try something else. If
Mm-hmm.
this isn't working, it's not like corporate where you have that set job where they're telling you what to do every day, kind of a thing. We can pivot on our own and just say, you know
Mm-hmm.
what, this isn't working for me. I'm going to try something new.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of power, a lot of like empowerment in that, knowing that, like, okay, I'm choosing this and I'm going to see where it leads me. And even if I have to pivot, that's okay. Like, it's not a failure, right? Like, you're making a choice and it's going to be successful. Whether, it's the success that you have cooked up in your mind or something else, right? Like, it's
Right.
still a success. You're still moving forward. And I think that is also something that from a coach, that's where I tend to get stuck is I don't know if this will work. So then I don't take action. But when I stop and take action, that's when the things work. And as I'm moving through it, I can see, okay, I need to add this or I need to remove that or I need to take this little jog, right? And then,
Right.
the benefit of having someone like you on a team would be, I could just call you up and say, okay, I'm making these tweaks to this stuff. Can we do this in my Ontraport stuff?
Right. Right. And I love doing that. I love trying to figure out, like, wanting to know what the end goal is and then working backwards from there and what we need
Mm-hmm.
to do to make that happen. Yeah,
Right.
that's just what I love to do. I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm that I'm that geeky nerdy person. Like, let me get in there, take it to the tech, and I'm not scared of it. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. But I think there's like that can be so refreshing for a coach who's scared of the tech, because I've met a lot of coaches who are like, I don't know if I can build this big, huge business because I don't know the tech side of things. Like, and which is fine. Like, I love learning that not little. I love learning the tech side of things because then that helps my brain just understand how all of the wheels turn together, right? But I've met people who are like, yeah, I don't know how to do I barely know how to like send an email through Flowdesk. So you know, that's as far as it goes. And I'm like, oh, but there's people who are out there who will help you and you don't have to
Right.
worry about that. And you can have this system that collects information for you, right, to help you serve your clients better.
Right, right. And that's the thing, and I get it. I've worked with both kind of clients myself, those who have been in there and okay, I've been in here and I've built all this out, but I'm not sure if it's working right or something needs to be tweaked or whatever, and going in and doing that to the people of I'm terrified. I don't have a clue of what I'm doing and I don't want to do it,
Right.
so
Yeah.
great. That's why I'm here. I love to do this stuff. This is, for me to be a coach would terrify me. There everybody has their zone of genius, and
Right.
that is
Yep.
mine.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is one piece of advice that you would tell your younger self?
That you are enough exactly the way you are. You don't
Mhm.
need approval or validation from anybody else. You are enough.
Yeah, I love that so much. I think more people need to hear that. And really sometimes I think hear it like from themselves, right? To
Mhm.
be able to really let it sink in to know that like, yeah, I am enough and I have everything I need right here, right now to take my next step wherever I'm going, right? Like chances are your next, I would say like 1 to 5 steps of things you need to do are in like a 6 foot sphere around you, right? Like
Right, right.
you've got it and you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think just growing up too, and and I've had several people and coaches I've worked with, your parents did what they could with what they knew, kind of a thing. And,
Right.
you know, it's just, then you get to my age, and you're like, "Oh, I am enough, damn it. I didn't need, to feel this way all these years,
Right. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
just trying to work on that mindset. I mean, I think too, being an entrepreneur is just it's a lot of mindset work. You got
Mhm.
to do a lot of mindset work because and you don't have to do it alone. There's just, there's coaches like you, your business bestie. I
Right.
totally love that. Um,
Yes.
there's there's the people out there that can help you, make it not make it so you're not alone. And which is and again, not that you're looking for validation or acceptance, but you just have somebody to bounce ideas off of. You have somebody to
Mhm.
just help keep you accountable on things. And I just think too many entrepreneurs just feel like they have to do it alone, and they don't. There's coaches, there's tech
Right.
support, there's all kinds of people who can help you.
Mhm.
And maybe it's not even hiring them to do something. If it's just like can I just pick your brain for 1 minute, kind
Right.
of a thing.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people are, at least people that I've run into, they're stunned when I have said to them, like whatever, connecting on social media, I'm having this problem and I'll, like answer in a group to say, "Oh, have you tried this or have you thought about that?" Like if you have more questions, like absolutely DM me, and then for them to DM me and say, "Wow, what you said was really interesting," and then for me to say like, "Yeah, let's hop on a call." Like I'll I'll give you coaching, right? Like I will talk to you. I will help you walk through something you need to walk through. And I think people are always so surprised at like my willingness to just like give without like needing to receive something. And I'm like, oh, this is how at this point, this is my third business, right? So like I I know the power of being able to give will
Right.
eventually I will receive at some point in time. So I think some of that, like knowing that as you are giving knowledge, whatever time, like it will come back to you, I think is very, very powerful as well.
Absolutely.
So my last question for you today is if you were a kitchen utensil or gadget, what would you be and why?
Hmm. Good question. Good question. And let's see. Maybe kitchen tongs. I'm useful
Yeah.
for helping and picking things up and whatever, but I can get a little snappy.
I love that. I love that. This is one of my favorite questions to ask because the answers are always so different. Just and I think that's just so wonderful, right? To like have the variety of answers. Usually it also throws people off. They're like, "You want what? What?"
Yeah.
Too funny. All
Fun.
right, Julie, it has been such a pleasure to have you on today. I'm so excited. If you could tell everyone how they can best get in touch with you, I'll definitely drop the links below. But tell everyone how they can connect with you best.
Probably best to connect on. I'd love for you to follow me on Instagram, and it's just Tackle Your To Do. LinkedIn is Julie A. Trombley, and I would love for anybody who's listening to this to take my 60-second quiz to find out what's your number one technology struggle. And all those links will be in the show notes.
Yay! Awesome. Thank you so much for being on. Thank you everyone for listening as well.
Thanks, Maggie.
Wow, what a great interview. Thank you so much for showing up here on the Chaos to Clarity podcast. Again, my name is Maggie. I'm so excited to connect with you. You can find all of the information, all of the links below in the show notes for today's interview. And I hope you have the best day ever.